Brad with Nomad Cycles, and I want to do show and tell with something that's pretty common right now, which is somebody has an existing e-bike, in this case cargo bike. I'll show you better in a second, and it came with the BionX on it. So, BionX is a hub motor, and it came in lots of different configurations. Some of them were real wide like this, some of them were more like a standard. They did some things right, which is like one of them is that the spacing was right, and they did some things wrong, which was that their battery would only work with their system, and you couldn't buy a replacement battery from anybody else, and now they're out of business. So this customer did what a lot of you might be thinking about, which is went and bought a replacement hub motor to put in, and then he had to come to us because there was a lot of problems. So I'm going to talk about some of the common problems of hub motor installation and what you can do about it. So there's the BionX battery, and when these batteries go out, there's no replacement. But there are a few companies that will rebuild them for you, and a few sources where you can get replacement parts. I could help with replacement parts if you need them, at least at this moment while I'm filming. So you can give me a call. But normally we would replace it with a mid-drive motor. This Bullitt bike here in particular suits the BBS HD really well right here. Takes a little bit of knowledge and finagling, but is doable. I wish that this customer, rather than going to get a hub motor put in, would have come to us, but he came to us after getting the bike back from the mechanic he took it to, and nothing worked. So like a common problem with the cheaper hub motors is that they're not spaced well, and I don't know if we can show here, but this motor is wider than fits. Well, and it had to have a couple spacers added for the brake rotor to line up with the brake. So it's putting a lot of pressure on those dropouts, pushing them out. It didn't come with a torque arm, so we just took an Amazon torque arm, bent it in a couple places so that it matched the alignment here. But the main thing is the brake. So when the spacing of where the rotor mounts onto the hub and then where the caliper mounts onto the bike, when that doesn't work, you're in a lot of trouble. So in this case, we changed around some of we put a different brake on it altogether because it already ruined the other one. And speaking of ruin, if your brake isn't, you can see this wear line here. If your brake pad isn't all the way over the rotor and it's just kind of going on partially at an angle, you can pop those pistons out and cause a problem. Not to mention, it's a death trap because once part of the pad wears away, it's going to stop braking when you're not expecting it to. But in this case, we put spacers here, and we put more spacers on this side compared to this side to move the this is horrible. So move the caliper so that it lines up horizontally with the rotor. And we had to do that because this whole frame is spread out wider than it should be. I actually really hate to even send this back on the road, but we made it so that it's fairly safe. You can also see that these big axles are barely fitting in the dropouts. When you're looking at a hub motor conversion, especially like for something like a cargo bike or whatever, please don't just go buy some cheap thing on the internet and try to put it in there. There's a lot of compatibility things. It really pays to pay the extra money for a motor that's well made, that's going to fit right. In this case, if the customer would have went to ebikes.ca and saw some of their products from Grid Technologies, any one of those you could stand behind. But like this is danger waiting to happen. I would not suggest putting your kids on this cargo bike. I mean, on any bike that has something that's not safe and well made. They provided this sack to put the motor controller in. There's no air movement, which doesn't help it cool down, but either way, it's just kind of like, it's not the nicest fit. Also, this battery had been put on like right into the pedal path, so we moved it over to the center. But this is not our work. We just made it so it's safable for now. And it's really a tough story when somebody invests in their time and money into electrifying something, and the inferior products make it a lot worse than it should be. So it's a little story about BionX and replacement hub motors, and the fact that this bike would be a great candidate to put the Fang mid-drive motor right here. But thanks for watching.